I'm Anna Webb. Welcome to A Dog's Life. Hey, Mr. Binks, you know how I'm always saying that chocolate isn't very good for doggies at all, which is a shame because it's really delicious for humans. And we're off to meet one of the only chocolatiers in this country, Paul Young, who's also an avid dog lover. Paul, it's so amazing to be in your chocolate shop in Camden Passage.
I know, thanks for coming. Been here 16 years.
16 years.
Can you believe it?
No, well, I think it's extraordinary
It is
what you've achieved.
Well, me sitting here looking out, because the three shops I can see looking out have changed in those 16 years. So it's like, if there was a time lapse, it would be really interesting to see the history of the passage. And we've actually been here so long now that we've got the most amazing regular customers. It's great.
Well, it's a super area, you know, it's the heart of Islington.
It is.
So I used to live in Islington in 1987 to about 96, actually,
Wow.
off the Liverpool Road.
Yeah,
and
nice.
Loved it. I used to come down Camden Passage, but it was all vintage clothes and proper antiques then, really.
Well, the passage, I remember when we first moved in, or just before, I was looking for a shop. It was all antique shops, either open or closed. Some were closed but had all the antiques in, and we used kind of storage. I remember coming down and it was a kind of foggy autumny evening with a bit of mist, and all of the lamp posters still look really Dickensian, and it was very atmospheric, but it was very quiet then. People had stopped buying antiques from shops and they were buying online. But there was this shop that we sat in now, and it was a chandelier shop, and it was all for rent, so the basement, the ground floor and above. And we ended up renting the whole thing, which was absolutely brilliant. And I remember talking to the locals, and they said the passage was built on the underground canal, which runs under the passage, which makes everything damp. But they used to go and steal and rob from the rich from the canal and then down the Thames, and bring all of the riches, all these antiques back and sell them on the passage, and that's how the antiques were brought here.
I never knew that.
Whether it's true or not, I don't care, because I love the story.
It's a great story, and it's really Dickensian. You can imagine it happening in sort of, you know, dark London and...
Well, in autumn and winter, you get that feeling here because a lot of the shops are listed. So we still have the original fronts, and even the framers opposite, they've put in a traditional gold sign, which could be from 100 years ago. Everything still has the dimensions and feel of old London. There's even a Hovis sign on the wall painted on the corner here.
Yeah,
I don't think
I've
that will
seen
ever go. People love nostalgia, don't they?
Well, they do, and I think it's very important, particularly in this age when we're moving very fast, you know, out of the pandemic, everyone's reality has shifted.
It has.
And, you know, with social media and everything, you know, I don't know, somehow it takes the reality out of reality now.
It does. Well, that's the thing with food, it's tangible. So art you can look at on your screen. And you can appreciate it. With food, you can look at it, but you can't do what it's meant to be for, which is taste it.
Exactly.
You can't eat it. So I love looking at food on Instagram. But there's a double-edged sword here, isn't there?
You
look at it and you go, oh, it's so
time.
exciting. Then you look at it and you go, oh, it's in America. I can't have that. But it inspires me, but I can't then reference the flavour. Unless you're very, very, like we're doing now, we're going to describe things very carefully so everyone knows we've described the Dickensian Camden Passage, you know. But with food, you have to taste it, which leads me on to your first tasting, because I'm going to feed you.
Let's just explain. Now, you are one of the UK's. Oh, look at this. So I'm about to have this amazing, smooth. Is this dark chocolate, Paul?
This is the chocolate that started my business.
Right. Okay.
So I developed this chocolate now about 19 years ago.
Wow.
To sea salted caramel, when nobody had ever had sea salted caramel. And I entered it into the Academy of Chocolate Awards in 2005. And it won a gold award as best sea salted caramel. And at that point, no one had ever had sea salted caramel. And that started the business.
Well, you've won loads of awards as well.
Loads.
And you are basically one of the world's few dedicated artisan chocolate. You launched artisan chocolate.
We did. I remember when we first opened, or before we opened, the reason I got into chocolate was I couldn't buy the chocolates I wanted to eat. So I am no chocolate snob. I will still sit down with my mum and stepdad at Christmas and eat a tin of Quality Street.
Yep.
And enjoy it because of the nostalgia. It is what it is, and it's part of our little ritual that we have every time I go home. So I will eat that. But then when it came to interesting fresh chocolates, and as a pastry chef I was trained and cooked seasonally and freshly. I didn't make a lemon tart today for tomorrow, it was made today. And I used apples and pears in autumn and so on. And I thought, where are the chocolates that can represent that? There was one company, Artisan de Chocolat, which is still going, who had some really exciting chocolates like tobacco. And I remember Gordon Ramsay buying them for his restaurants. And that was the one place you could go. But I still thought, well, why are they all the same shape, similar texture, and where I wanted real seasonality. So what I did was, while I was doing my other jobs as pastry chef and I was teaching and doing some telly stuff, I thought I'm going to practice at home and I'm going to make chocolates with fresh ingredients that are seasonal. And that's what I did, and I entered them into the Academy of Chocolate Awards, encouraged by a friend of mine who ended up doing my PR for 15 years, because she said, well, they're fresh, they're unpreserved, so no glucose syrup or any hydrogenated fats or anything. They've got a short shelf life, which means you make them and you eat them, then you come back for more, rather than buying them now and keeping them for 6 months. And that's how the business started, and that's the ethos that started. And I think when people tasted fresh strawberry, fresh raspberry, or anything else, fresh herbs and spices in the chocolates, it took a bit of time, but customers realised this is what that flavour tastes like. It's not a synthesised strawberry, it's fresh strawberry, and there's a big difference.
Yeah, and I think it's going to all of the, sourced locally and all of the ethics we've got now, because of climate change, so that you won't eat a strawberry in December because that's being flown across the world, that type of mentality, and
Exactly.
and keeping out the additives, because there's a myth around chocolate, isn't it? Oh, I mustn't have chocolate. Oh, it's like the bad guy.
Yeah, there is that kind of, we have customers sometimes go, oh, I shouldn't, or they're not for me. Like I'm selling some illicit drug or something that you can, that's some secret opium.
It reminds me, actually, I know what this place reminds me of now. How could I forget? The Johnny Depp film.
Chocolat, yeah. Well, that was a massive inspiration for me. Because
was it?
Vianne in Chocolat, her thing was trying to figure out what you liked to eat.
Because it is exactly like that in here, because that was the wonderful Juliette Binoche, wasn't it?
Well, it was, and the one thing is, you come in and you have a conversation.
Well, she made the whole village better from her chocolate brew from the Mayan.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing.
Heritage.
If you put chocolate in the wrong category of junk food, then there's always going to be this negativity around it. I would never say it's healthy or a superfood, as in a milk chocolate bar, white chocolate bar. It's held together with natural fats, the cocoa butter. Then you've got the cocoa solids, which make the brown part, the strength. But when you don't add in hydrogenated fats, highly refined sugars, and highly refined industrial sugar syrups, actually, what you're eating is something quite pure. And you don't eat as many, because they're very intoxicating and strong in flavour, which means you have one and the flavour's in your mouth for half an hour, where as if you had a Quality Street, like I do at Christmas, you can eat 5 or 6 in a minute.
Well, do you think that's got something to do with the fact there's additives in there? So that,
of course, yeah, sugar,
right,
sugar and fat.
Sugar.
Tons of sugar and fat, whereas we don't add tons of sugar and we don't add any fat unless there's pure butter in a caramel or in the recipe.
Gosh.
We don't add it in as a bulking agent or a stabiliser. So if it's a raspberry truffle, there's a lot of raspberry and chocolate and sometimes some cream, or not.
You're so clever, though, because these are so intricate. I mean, do you ever have tantrums that the mould hasn't worked, or do you make... But there's so much... I mean, I love these little boxes as well. I mean, what perfect gifts.
It's about, with chocolate, every single chocolate you, or I, or anyone who walks through the shop, buy is an emotional purchase. And I will argue that till the day I die. It's an emotional purchase because you're buying it for someone to make them feel better, usually, or feel good, to smile, or for yourself too, because you love chocolate, or you're walking past and you've never been into a chocolate shop before, where the chocolates are made on site. And it's going to do, hopefully, one thing: change how you feel, introduce you to something new, And before you've even tasted it, you've emotionally thought about, how do I want to feel? Do I want something sugary and sweet? Do I want something intense and robust? Do I want something like a brownie or a hot chocolate or a truffle or a caramel? So all these decisions, split-second decisions, are emotional decisions.
Split second. Do you ever get people in here for
That's,
about 2
yes.
hours?
Oh, yes.
Thinking, well, gosh, I did think I wanted a white chocolate, but gosh, you're tempting me so much with the milk.
You do, but we allow people to stay in. It is like chocolat, where Vianne asks you, asks questions or suggests to you. It is a provocative, sexy thing, chocolate. Even confectionery chocolate is, look at the flake advert when it was allowed to be on TV.
Yes, the flake.
Always the woman in a bath, water spilling over the edge. She ruined her floor. But it was always very sexual and provocative, because that chocolate makes us feel really good. And it's the chemicals, it's not just how they look and how they smell and taste, but it's the chemicals that really trigger why we fall in love with it.
Yes, but we're not thinking about the sugar high here, are we?
No.
And that we're talking about the organic alkaloids, aren't they?
The alkaloids, the natural substances and compounds within chocolate. So we're talking about kind of dark chocolate predominantly. When you dilute chocolate with milk and other things, there's less and less and less of the good stuff.
Yeah.
But if you're talking like 62% cocoa solids and above, you're going to get more theobromine, which is why chocolate's called theobroma cacao. This is the compound which hits your brain, releases dopamine, and makes you feel amazing.
So I'm having a bit of a hit now, aren't I? Must be, because that salted caramel thing was delicious, absolutely amazing. And you're right, the flavours. But you see, it's the theobromine thing that interests me, because you're a mad, passionate dog lover.
Oh, yes, I am.
We had to segue.
We do, but I am, yeah.
But the interesting thing is, your métier is kind of a bit at odds, really. You've got to, I imagine, be quite careful at home if you brought some of your chocolates back home and you left them on the kitchen side. And the good thing is, tell us about your dog, because if they were on the kitchen side, he wouldn't be able to snuffle them, would he, like a lurcher or something? And that's because he is a mini Dachshund.
It is tiny. He's a very small mini Dachshund as well. And luckily, I do a lot of work at home and filming and product development. He can't reach any of it. And if I drop it, it's cleaned up immediately, because I had a Basset hound a few years ago.
Oh.
And she was called Velcro because she was very clingy. But she broke into, must have been now probably 15 years ago. She broke into where the chocolate was stored and ate quite a few mouthfuls of dark chocolate. And this is for everyone listening. Keep dark chocolate away, any chocolate away, because she ended up on a drip. It gets into the central nervous system. It can shut down their organs. They can fit. You name it, vomiting, everything. It's just not worth having it anywhere near. I had a very sad story from a customer who got a puppy. This happened about 5 years ago, and bought a box of chocolates from us from this store, took them home. I mean, you know what I'm going to say.
No.
But this is why, this is not meant to be to make everyone sad. It's just to reiterate the importance. So these were small chocolates. They're about the size of a large olive. But a puppy eating a few of those chocolates is going to get seriously ill, but unfortunately the puppy passed away.
And the thing is, with your chocolate, there is a lot of the theobromine in. I mean, if they ate I won't name any brands, but another type of
confectionery
normal chocolate bar from your newsagent, there's very little theobromine. I mean, possibly in some of the more posh, in inverted commas, brands that are the dark 70%. But you've got some chocolate that go 91%.
We have, and that would be detrimental. I mean, I do hear people say, I give my dog I'm going to say Kit Kat, I'll say it once. And it's fine. Big dog, I'm like, okay, you shouldn't really. But the thing with that is, your dog can't say to you, Mummy, I've got tummy ache.
No.
And you can look and think your dog feels well. It probably doesn't. It is poisonous to dogs. And funnily enough, it is poisonous to us as well.
Right. I didn't know this, but
in huge amounts.
Yeah, I mean, I should just say, any type of chocolate bar really is not a species appropriate thing to be giving your dog.
Definitely not.
I mean, you can get doggy choc drops though.
You can.
I mean, are they something you might segue into?
This is really funny you said it, because I bought some moulds and cutters and things, and I thought, you know what? I should really open a dog chocolate business. It's made with carob, which is an alternative if you can't have chocolate. So humans are very sensitive to theobromine, and when I say large amounts, for some people it can be only 100 grams, can give you intensely bad headaches and migraines, make you shake, and make you feel nauseous and unwell. So we tolerate it. But if you think about everything in nature, if something's really bitter, animals spit it out. It's an alert. This doesn't taste good. I'm not going to eat it. We've developed it and manufactured it and sweetened it to a point where we can eat it and we can tolerate it. But carob is from the carob tree, and it's a seed. And it is chocolatey. I remember my mum buying carob when we were kids.
Yes.
It seemed to be the
carob.
healthy choice. And it is okay.
And it's also good for vegetarians and vegans, I think, as well.
Yeah, well, dark chocolate, if it's pure dark chocolate, should be vegan and vegetarian. But warning everyone, this happened to me just 2 weeks ago. I occasionally buy chocolate from supermarkets. I want to see what everybody's doing, and I will, if anything is new or everything I haven't had for a long time, I will buy it to see, has it changed, is it still the same quality? And a big brand dark chocolate bar, the last ingredient on it was milk powder. Now for me, and for everyone out there, this is what I would teach you. If it says dark chocolate, it shouldn't contain any dairy. The reason it's called milk white and dark is a reason. However, some of the big multinational brands put a little bit of milk in because, as we see with tea and coffee, they both contain tannins, and without milk they taste quite bitter. When you put milk into something with tannins, it makes it smooth and less bitter. So they're putting this little bit of milk in to make the dark chocolate a bit more smooth. However, if you are vegan or dairy intolerant, lactose intolerant, you may not even know it's there. So turn the bar over when it says dark chocolate.
Always look at the ingredients,
always.
You know, always. But I'm still fascinated by these carob doggy choc drops.
Yeah.
I feel something big coming on for Christmas.
Well, I think, you know, we love our pets. We love our dogs.
The only thing would be you'd have to put it in a different bag. So if the owner, because I can see everyone buying them when they came in, if they have a dog, it'll be a super Christmas present for a friend with a dog. But if the bag's got muddled up or something,
you'd
and
have to, very clear
you've
packaging.
Got to be
clear packaging, and made not in the same site as here, because you can't risk anything getting in that would, you know. But we give our doggies treats when they're good.
Yes.
When they're good, everyone, you know,
don't reward the good behaviour.
Yeah, don't reward when you're not meant to, because they just wrap you around there.
May I just ask about Velcro going back?
Oh,
I love Basset Hounds.
Yeah, she was amazing.
Yeah, she pulled through?
She was quite young at the time, so she pulled through, and they are the funniest.
They are funny dogs, Basset Hounds. I mean, they're big.
Oh,
I think
25 kilos on tiny little legs.
Yes, but they're stocky legs, aren't they?
They are. Floppy ears. They are high maintenance. You've got to clean their ears a lot, clean their mouths a lot. Make sure their backs are looked after. So you have to carry them up and down stairs.
Right. 25 kilos.
I mean, that's why I think I've got the compromise, because Billington is they are like mini Basset Hounds, really.
Yes.
And funnier, even funnier.
Well, they're both scent hounds. You know, they've got an awful lot in common.
They do. They get a sniff. They get a sniff in the park. You are done in. That's it. They can smell a squirrel at the other side of the park. They're going for it.
No, it was lovely because you got him really. You know, because at the moment the mini Daxi, and when it's peaking at so some, you know, in London, you see them everywhere, and you see a lot of them that are merle coloured, which arguably isn't great.
No.
And you see teacup mini Daxies, and you just think crumbs, and then you see mini Daxies with a really round head, and you think, gosh, is that really all Daxi? And it's all changed a bit, hasn't it? People are now buying dogs on the internet. Can you believe it?
It's insane. When I got Billy, it was 9 years ago, and I knew no one with a miniature Dachshund or a Dachshund, and I didn't see them.
No, you didn't.
Very often,
actually.
But I did so much homework. It took me 6, maybe 8 months. This is advice I would give anyone. It's not a dog or any pet, but we're talking about dogs. It's not an impulse purchase. This is like deciding to have children. I don't have kids, so I'm speculating. Shall we? When is right? What does it entail? What does it mean to our lives and the doggie's life? You know, you've got to make the decision. And I did a lot of research. I wanted to make sure that Billy came from a very clean line. I didn't specifically go out to look for a pure pedigree. That's not me. I knew I just wanted a dog that I could enjoy and have in London, manageable, especially for a flat, because London flats are not very big,
No.
and that I could easily transport to my family on the train, on the buses, on the tube.
And you wanted, I could tell, a big dog in a small body.
Yeah, and they are.
Yeah,
Oh my
they
God.
are. Yes.
But do your homework. So I checked the breeding line.
Yeah.
I checked for, they've got something called PRA, which is where their eyesight can be
Primary retinal atrophy.
That's it.
And their backs, that's a real worry,
Right.
because I wrote an article actually about this, that something staggering, like 1 in 4 mini Dachshunds get IVDD.
Yes, they do.
Disc disease.
Discs, yeah, they do. So this is something to be really important. From the day you bring your little Dachshund home, is that you lift them up under the chest, not under the legs.
They have lovely chests.
They do, very deep, under the chest and under the back legs. So you're supporting. They're very long. They're longer than, if you look at other dogs and the legs are close. They're very long. From day one, you do not let them go up and down stairs. Billy now is small, but he is longer than the width of going up a stair. So we constantly have to put a barrier so he can't come up the stairs. If we go upstairs, we carry him up. He now knows not to come down on his own. He fell down the stairs once.
Oh no.
From about halfway up. It only takes once. He was fine, but he did hurt his back about 5 years ago. No idea how. Literally like us, if we twist and we can do our disc bottom of our back, that's what happened. And he ended up in a crate, confined to a crate for 6 weeks, not coming out.
That must have been hard work. I mean, that's the worst thing any owner wants to hear.
It is.
You're being prescribed crate rest.
But I found this phenomenal. And I think everyone who's got a dog knows this. We don't give our animals the credit they deserve sometimes. They know when we are ill and poorly before we do. Billy does, first thing.
Do. Look,
but he knew, he walked. I didn't have a crate, and the vet said, I've got an old crate. And it was an old airline crate. The vet put him in, I took him home, and I had to take him, I lifted him outside to go up the toilet, and he walked straight back in, and he stayed there. He knew that he had to rest. He didn't fight to come out, but from that day on, his back is priority. And you can't put any price on. You do not want your dog to go through an operation that is starting at £4,500 because you haven't taken care of his back.
And it might go wrong.
No. So carry him or her. Do not encourage them to jump up and down the furniture.
I need to introduce you to something actually that I think would be really useful. So leave this with me. I might pop down. It's called the Fotizo Vet Care. Actually, I don't know it. Yeah, it's red light therapy, and it would really help his back.
Yeah.
So I'll message you on that.
We take care. We make sure that because he's 9, we make sure that he's well looked after, and he loves being carried. They are very cheeky dogs. Once you start carrying them, they are like, carry me, daddy. Daddy, carry me. I'm not walking. I mean, if it rains, then I don't know a single Dachshund that will go out in the rain. They look and go, no, because their chest is about an inch off the floor and it gets wet.
I know. But, it's a fine line, isn't it?
It is.
Because some dogs that are carried, they get quite the Napoleon complex, really. And then they start barking at everybody that's lower because they're like, oh, I'm higher than you. And they're looking down their nose at people a bit. No, he sounds lovely.
The thing with Dachshunds, they are, like you said, sniffer dogs.
Yes.
They like being carried, but they miss the sniff.
Yeah.
So when I say to Billy, do you want to walk now? He's down. So he misses. They need to sniff and find their way. But the most joyous dog to have, so funny. They're burrowers. If you can't find your Dachshund, they are somewhere in the house burrowed into or underneath something.
That's what they used to do, because they were bred, originally to burrow, to go down a badger hole.
Big paws on little dog.
Yeah.
But it must be. I mean, this is where you see, it's in their DNA.
Yes.
Like, as soon as you get your little Dachshund, it wants to burrow. Billy hasn't dug anywhere, but he is under quilts and blankets and cushions and you name it.
Got to be careful, haven't you? You don't sit on him or something. By
you do. You have to be really careful.
Gosh, no, lovely. So I get now. So Velcro, was Velcro inspired by a family dog?
When I was about 7 or 8, I got a soft toy for Christmas, which was a life-size basset hound.
Oh, wow. I would have loved that.
And for some reason, I loved basset hounds. Whether it came from there was a cartoon, wasn't
Fred
there?
Bassett.
So maybe it was that, but I can't connect it clearly. And I remember my grandma had a dog called Lucky, and when I was very young, and he passed away, obviously. And then when I was a bit older, my mum rescued a dog called Butch, and he was a cross between a collie and an Alsatian, and he needed a lot of love. He'd been treated quite badly, and he was joyous. He was happy to see everybody all the time. Then there was a big long gap of no dog for years, and I just constantly missed having a dog. But the hours I was working in restaurants as a chef at the time meant that wasn't happening. It was only when I left the restaurant life and got a job as a development chef, developing products, that I was like, oh, I'm working like 8 till 4. There's room here for maybe a dog. And that's when the dogs came back.
Oh.
And then Velcro passed away, and then I got Billy. I can't do what my vet does. I've got the most amazing vet. But my vet, Dale, says,
Oh, I know Dale on Amwell Street.
Amwell Street. Do you know Dale? Oh, he's
Yeah.
great. He's looked after all my dogs I've had in London. And he always makes sure, I don't have to say this without it coming out right.
No, I
He
know,
always makes
don't.
sure
Bring in the younger dog.
before the older one passes away. And I still haven't got my head around that concept.
They do
But I can-
really say it really works. Now,
Really?
with Molly,
Right.
my first bull terrier, I was really reluctant to bring in a younger dog. And anyway, it's a really long story, but it got to the point where I thought, "Do you know what? I think I need to add something because I don't
Yeah.
want her to die." And that's when I brought in my little English toy terrier. Oh, you met Mr.
Oh,
Binks.
Mr. Binks
when
is
we were
so
doing the...
gorgeous. We had lots of cuddles.
Yeah, we were at Joe's, weren't
Yeah.
we, doing our house party
Yeah.
for BBC Radio London. And yeah, I know. Oh, he liked you.
He's so gorgeous. We're
Yes.
having a good old little chat.
He's 10 now, but I brought him in
my
as the young dog to kind of give Molly some extra stuff to do. So she could boss him a little bit,
Yeah.
which, you know, and it was extra stimulation.
energy.
Bit of rivalry. It does people good, a bit of rivalry,
How
bit
did
of
they get
competition.
on?
Fine, because the balance was right. Look, Mr. Binks, humble, you know, I mean, not about to take over anywhere, you know.
No, he's
well,
not.
now he's got a bit bolder actually, but then he was a bit neglected, might be the wrong word to say, but he wasn't in the best shape,
Yeah, okay.
you know, and Molly became maternal with him
Oh,
and showed him the ropes. And when he was nervous in a situation, I remember once we were at Crufts and we were by the Bull Terrier ring, and Mr. Binks, because I didn't want to carry him too much, they needed to build his confidence, so he had to walk on the ground. And he was surrounded by all these Bull Terriers, like bouncing around and everything. And do you know what Molly did? She stood over him and just suddenly,
Wow.
just basically, so he was underneath Molly, and Molly was like a bridge and kept him feeling
Protected.
Yeah, just did that all by herself.
So clever.
Yeah, that was quite a funny moment actually, because she could tell he was feeling a
Yeah.
little bit nervous with these big boisterous dogs around. So it's interesting. So I wouldn't rule it out, Paul.
I haven't kind of, but what I planned to do, this was about 3 or 4 years ago, was to bring a relation of Billy's in.
Yes.
Because Billy's mum was pregnant again.
Oh wow.
And I thought, this is a great time for Billy to have a brother or sister. But so sadly, she passed away while she was pregnant.
Oh no.
With undiagnosed diabetes.
Oh no.
So wasn't able to get him his little brother or sister at that point.
Because sometimes they say a complementary breed, so that it's not too much like sibling rivalry,
Right.
You know, because that can
I
be a
hadn't
big
thought of that
thing.
at all.
Yeah, so that's why, you know, Mr. Binks, you know, I mean, completely different to a Bull Terrier,
Yeah.
but there is sort of no rivalry going on. But you bring
No.
in another Bull Terrier, then all sorts of things
Oh,
can
that
go
makes
wrong.
sense.
Yes, so that's why in the country they tend to have a Labrador with a Jack Russell.
Okay.
Yes, they're really
Ooh. I'm going to look at that now. I had never thought about a complementary breed.
Yeah, so maybe something like a pug. You wouldn't want anything too big in case they trod on him and
Yeah.
you know, hurt his back.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah,
be
that's-
but Pomeranian.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you got me thinking now. While I'm thinking, you can think by having another chocolate.
Oh yes, definitely needs some
next
energy.
one. This is called Stroop Waffle, which if any of you have a coffee in any of the, you know, all the big brands, and you get that wafer waffle with a caramel through the middle.
Yes, I
This
know.
is developed by one of my chocolatiers, Kieran, and I love it. It's made with a blonde chocolate. So the chocolate on the outside is called blonde chocolate, which is a caramelized white chocolate. And it's got all the wafery bits on the outside. It's got the caramel inside. It's like a hug.
So you're really taking sort of everyday generics, like a wafer in a
Exactly.
coffee, and then transforming it into chocolate.
Well, do you know, if we just made flavours, so I would say when we first started, flavours of truffles were the thing. You had a strawberry one, a raspberry one, and so on. But I'm a chef and a pastry chef, so what I did was, like, we've got a lime tart here. You look at a dessert, and you say, right, Bakewell tart, for example. We make a Bakewell tart truffle occasionally.
I love Bakewell tart.
Oh, I do. But all the ingredients of a Bakewell tart.
See, I love almonds.
Oh, I do. Everything with almonds. Well, almonds and chocolate, hazelnuts and chocolate. So all you do is go, right, what do I love? I love apple crumble. How can you make an apple crumble into a truffle? Well, you can reduce the apple and make it concentrated. You could add a custard ganache inside with vanilla. You could even roll the truffle in like a crumbly biscuit on the outside, and there you have your apple crumble. So it's just about taking familiar things that you all have heard of, but turning them into a chocolate that you might never have had. So they are maybe unusual in their form, but they are totally familiar.
Yes.
And that's where the nostalgia comes in.
It is where the nostalgia, and also art, really. It's almost like being like Picasso.
Well,
deconstruction.
I got into art college, and the day before I was meant to go, and I was so excited. I remember walking around art college thinking, this is me, I'll do something in art, not knowing what. But I remember the day before I was meant to go to art college, I rang catering college and went, can I come to catering college? Because I knew that I could eventually be artistic with cooking, but I would always have a job.
Yeah.
Because everybody needs to eat.
Of course they do. I really, envy you. It's a bit, in a way, it's not really the same, but it's like being a plumber or a mechanic.
Yeah, it
is.
is.
You're never going to be able to
It's a
work.
service.
It is. It's a service that everybody really, really needs.
And like plumbers and mechanics, if you say, right, I'm going to specialise in one area of plumbing, so I ended up specialising in pastry after being a chef, and then chocolate. You pick that speciality bit that you like, and it's now, as a pastry chef and a chocolatier, so artistic, which means that artistic bit I lost at art college has been brought in, because desserts, cakes and sweet things are inherently artistic because we look at them and go, that is a beautiful looking, colourful chocolate.
No, it's amazing, but the Picasso thing is because, he stripped everything and then put it all back together in different ways so that it was, it was deconstructionism.
Yeah, it's how you view it.
But the thing is, he also was mad about mini daxies.
Really? Was he?
Picasso, yeah. He
that.
had a daxi called Lump.
What a great name for a dog.
And Lump passed away. Hang on, I can't remember if Lump passed away before Picasso or the other way round, but it was close. 5 days.
5 days?
Yeah, they both.
Broken hearts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lump. Oh my gosh, that's the best name for
so
a dog.
that's this whole thing. So you're kind of him.
Now, this is where my midlife moment comes in. I'm trying to think about where I saw this, and it was about dogs being more than dogs. I mean, I know everyone who's got a pet and a dog thinks like this, but when you're artistic, or when you find attachments easy, having a dog there and then not having the dog there makes you a completely different person. So I know when Billy's around, I feel different.
Yes.
It's like a support network. It's like I can feel more creative with Billy around. Whether it's because I'm subliminally chatting to him away and he calms me. I don't know what it is.
Well, they do calm you. I mean, interestingly, I was talking about this earlier, actually. It's this mutual transferal of oxytocin, which happens. And because dogs can smell when you're stressed and smell when you're not stressed. Yeah, they can smell cortisol going mad in your body. Yeah, that's why people think, he understands every word I say. No, he doesn't, because they don't do language. But they do know when you're happy or you're sad.
They do.
And they read your facial expressions. You've got grumpy face, they know what that means, or happy face. The latest, deconstruction in a truffle has occurred. Eureka.
So
then, of course, Billy knows Dad's in a really happy mood. Yeah, and so you balance one another. And then when you stroke Billy, if he was feeling a bit, no, we could have gone for a bit of a longer walk today or something, you're transferring your oxytocin to him and vice versa, just with the owner. So not everybody will get that from Billy.
No, it's funny because
there is this unique bond. It's so fascinating. Dogs, it's so much more complicated than people think.
The bond is, with Billy, there is a bond there.
Yeah.
But occasionally, like the other day, I'm sat on the sofa and glued against my leg because Sebastian's pushed, and then he'll just put his head up and go, let's potter over and sit beside Luke, my partner Luke, and have a little cuddle with Luke, and then go, I'm done now, and pop it back. And I just love, this sounds so naive and so silly, but I get so much joy of thinking that he's thought about going for a hug with Luke and thought about coming back. Like, he wanted a bit of somebody else for a while, but no, Daddy, you're the one, I'm coming back.
Oh,
and I remember when I was poorly a few years ago, I was on the sofa and I was off work for a little while. He didn't leave my side at all. I mean, he had to go for his wee and poo. But of course, he didn't. It was inseparable.
But the mini Dachshunds have this reputation, actually. They're very loyal. I think, hounds in general, they've got this presence about them. I think there is, all dogs have it, but I think...
Well, Basset hounds, oh my goodness. Chaos in a dog. Funny in a way, but you could just never choose where she was going to go next, like who she was going to be loyal to today.
How funny. And recall?
None. Billy's quite good. Billy's actually very good, but yeah, Basset hound wasn't.
It's like beagles. I mean, they're funny dogs. I'd love to have a beagle, but they are so naughty. I don't know if
Really?
Yeah, no, friends of mine have had beagles, and they had to rig up a camera because they couldn't figure out what on earth was going wrong because their fridge would end up with things not in it.
No way.
Yeah, but the fridge door was always shut when they got in, so no one knew until it's like, have you seen that cheese?
So beagles opening the...
No, they had a Bernese Mountain Dog, and the beagle managed to engage with the Bernese Mountain Dog. So the Bernese Mountain Dog opened the fridge, and the beagle would jump on top of the Bernese Mountain Dogs. They're quite big, sturdy
stocky
dogs. And the beagle would then nose the fridge totally open and pretty much get inside the fridge. And they caught all of this on camera. It's honestly true.
That's
so
insane.
in the end, they had to put all these baby locks and everything onto absolutely everything.
That's insane.
Yeah, but
it's
how
like
to figure that out and to get the cooperation and the camaraderie and
It's like the film Pets, isn't it? Have you seen that animation film where they're all having other lives when the owners go out?
Yes, that's it.
I love
They're
that.
out, hurrah! Let's raid the fridge.
Oh, I know. But if you're out for 30 seconds, Billy thinks I've been out all day.
It's funny they don't have a sense of time. It's something my dad taught me many years ago, because you go to buy a pint of milk and you come back in and they're as excited to see you if you've been... Yeah, it's so interesting.
I think about it a lot and I worry. Billy rarely gets left any time because he's a studio dog, and as well, my partner's a photographer. So Billy goes to the studio during the day and hangs out at the photography studio and has a great time.
Oh, he's quite a little man,
He's totally spoiled. But he likes his little trips out, but the time bit I think about a lot because I think I'm one of those dog owners that tries to figure him out.
Which is so important. You've got to try and figure your dog out because every dog's an individual and every breed of dog's a different combination of individual. And it's, that's why we're here really, Paul, because when I met you, I mean, I loved the chocolate martinis you served.
They were strong, weren't they?
Slightly. I couldn't drink it because I was driving. Thank goodness you told me what was in it. But it inspires me meeting people that are really into their dogs and passionate.
But it's also
important.
A lot of people I know, sometimes I don't know they've got dogs. There's a lot of well-known people that have got dogs who they go back to. I've learned so much about people when they come into the shop and we start talking. And one of the key connections, we see your dog Billy. I'm like, where? And he went, no, on your Instagram, or we've seen him, and they ask about it, and it's a conversation piece. Then they said, I've got a dog. If you don't know somebody and you find out they have a dog, you end up having a conversation about your dog,
dogs are
what
brilliant.
They do, what they don't do.
Absolutely, this is it. Well, this is it. I mean,
where you walk.
Exactly, and it's probably why there's been such a rise in ownership, through the pandemic, some for the good and some for the not so good. Yeah. But always dogs have been this, it's like being in a club, it's a community, and you've got the common ground, whereas otherwise you don't really, with anyone, but you also know there's qualities of someone that's true to their dog that you like. They're committed, they walk their dog, they care about a living creature, they're kind, and they understand the values that dogs bring you, whereas someone who doesn't like dogs doesn't have any of that.
Yeah, one of the other reasons I got Billy was that reason I haven't got kids, never going to have kids.
No, I'm never going to have kids.
And But I was like, well, but I felt.
I mean, I wanted a dog more than I wanted. No, I did.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had that window.
I get it.
Yeah,
and because you still have this feeling of.
No, I
maternal.
chose a miniature bull terrier.
Yeah.
Over.
But then it's like we're conditioned that it has to be children. No offense to anyone who's got children, right? We all love lots of children.
Yeah.
But you still get that,
chocolate.
parental feeling. I remember thinking, I can't just go to work, make and sell chocolate and stuff. There needs to be something else, and that gap. This is when Velcro had passed away, and it was a few years, and that hole was caring for something else, coming home to something else, having something else to look after and nurture, because we're humans and we are born to be in a pack or to be in social.
But it's the caring, it's the hardwired nurturing that
That's
we all have, that we want to care and look after.
And I think a lot of my friends were like, how are you fitting it in? You're so busy. I said, look, if I was in a relationship where I was going to have children, there is never a good time. You adapt your life, you change your life, and actually you then the priorities, the prioritization of having a pet dramatically changes your life for the better. You find that you make time that you thought you didn't have, which is time you need to be mindful, calm, walking your dog, getting
in the moment.
And also, I wasn't spending much time outside, and I'm an outside person, but I was living in central London at the time, and we'd opened our Soho shop, which we now don't have. But I was working a lot, and I was walking to work and back, and that was it. And through winter, walk to work, dark, come home, dark. Then I decided to get Billy, and that meant a daytime walk in the daylight outside. And it changes your life for the better. It's not just the hugging and the cuddling and all the cutie stuff.
No, it's not. I always say only a dog's like a pie chart. They need exercise, they need affection, but they also need boundaries.
Totally.
And that's also good to see how that works, and training and building teamwork, and that's all about the bond. But it's good to have a commitment in life, and it's good to have a responsibility beyond
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was fine but looking after myself, but I just had this gap.
Yes.
And Billy filled the gap, but not in a superficial way. It wasn't a purchase. Sometimes I can't get my words clear about it, because it is like having a child. It's like you're giving a life, you're nurturing, you're caring, but it transformed my life. So anyone out there who works a lot, who has a business, who thinks they can't have a dog, and that you would love one, or any pet, you very quickly adapt your life, and in those 24 hours there is time, because you make the time, and what you get back from your dog is infinitely more joyous than you can ever imagine, and you can't imagine your life before not having your dog.
Exactly. Well, I couldn't agree more, really, Paul. And I think, that's what people do need to know, though. It's a commitment.
Huge
commitment. I always say dogs aren't a convenience, they're a commitment.
They are. And I'm very lucky that when we go away, we have a fantastic group of people that look after Billy and look after him well. You have to make sure that whoever's looking after your dog
knows he can't do the stairs, all the rest of it.
Fully.
So important, and that's quite hard to find, I think. Actually,
very hard. We've searched. I had a great lady called Jo who looked after Billy for about 6 years, and then her family grew, and now we've got somebody else. When we're away, we're at the minute lucky enough that we can juggle looking after him nearly all the time ourselves. But search for somebody fabulous, and if you don't like the person, don't have them look after your dog. It's got to be, this person has to look after your dog the way you do and love them in the same way for the time they're together. And luckily, whoever looks after Billy falls in love with him because he's a good boy, thanks to his upbringing.
Well, it is, you see. You can always tell, actually.
You try hard.
Yeah, it is a bit like children, really.
Constant training.
Constant training through their life,
It's funny how...
Particularly when he's 9, it's to keep him on the ball. So to practice all of his turns, invent some other games, with winter coming out. I bet you do hiding things under plant pots and getting to sniff them out.
He loves the game of hide and seek on it. Well, he hides... What's really cute, he hides his own chewy sticks, so the little chews he has, and then he'll forget. And then the joy of him finding his own little chew that he's hidden away under a pillow, under a cushion, he loves it. But hide treats around the house. Like, especially if we need to go to the shops for an hour, we hide a few treats around the house, because they're sniffer dogs.
Yeah.
They need to sniff around your house. And he finds them all I'm sure it's within 30 seconds of us leaving the house. But he still loves
but it distracts him from the fact you've left, and then he'll be like, oh, well, I know they're going to come back, 'cause he's used to it.
Yeah.
So, no, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I can't wait to meet Billy.
I know.
I know, so I love Daxies.
If we weren't a chocolate shop, we'd have had our dogs here, but we've been very responsible. We couldn't bring them.
No, and I was so excited to come here and visit and just see all this splendid, array of chockies here in front of me. It's wonderful. It really is. Look, tarte au citron vert.
Oh, well, that's what you've got next.
Right.
So,
Gosh,
so this
it is
one
as well.
So this is called France, because we did holiday destinations
that's
for
a good idea.
for the summer collection.
Right.
So this one is my love of lemon tart, which turned into lime tart. And it is. You said earlier about taking the ingredients.
Crumbs, it's like meringue.
This is it's lime ganache. And on the outside is the pastry from the tart case, and then we've coloured some white chocolate with natural green, and it is the tart but in a spherical, crumbly truffle.
I mean, it's exceptional, isn't it? I mean, this is really...
But no lemon or lime flavouring. This is what people don't realise, without being patronising, is that we're so used to tasting synthesised flavours of lemon, banana, lime, orange, that when you then have something that is really from the orange, the lime, the lemon, the banana, it's a completely different flavour. Quite often.
It just tastes like the real thing. I mean, that does actually...
It is, but all we've done is brought it into a small little chocolate ball. Yeah.
And so that real zest of a proper tarte au citron, a very French classic. Well,
it's delicious. But to describe it to everyone, we're saying about everything being emotional. If someone comes in the door, we don't know what's going on in their life. Say they're not looking very happy. Our job is then to, I would look and say, maybe they need cheering up, and I'd offer some of the vibrant flavours, some of the happier flavours, because you don't know what's going on in their life.
No.
And just offer a tasting, or say and if they don't know what they want.
But it is that nostalgia. I love tarte au citron, and I lived in Paris for 2 years.
Oh, lovely.
So totally, that is nostalgia for me. That taste.
Yeah. Well, my favourite season for chocolate is coming up, which is autumn. So we're now looking at our autumn collection, because really September's only a few days away.
It is.
And getting into September, it can be
depressing, isn't it? I mean, we've had a good summer, so it's okay.
The good days go so fast. This is the thing for me. But I love autumn as a season for food, because we have a lot of crunchy, smoky, caramelly, but such comfort food. But I struggle with the dark.
Yeah.
I grew up in the northeast of England. I'm ginger. Not great for the sun. Love the heat. Love the hot nights. Love the humidity. Could live somewhere really hot. But when winter comes, I'm cold all the time. My fingers are cold all the time.
They are cold,
because
aren't
I
they?
have pastry chef hands. It's the darkness that I struggle with.
Yes. Oh gosh. I mean,
it's just dark for too long. Why is it so dark for so long? And every year it happens, and every year I think it's new. But what we try to do is make the collection of chocolates, be seasonal, autumnal, but bright, not gloomy, not dark. So when people walk in and pick something, they feel part of the season, and we stretch the seasons out. So
what would you use? Pumpkin, sort of that? Yeah.
Pumpkin, brambles, apples, caramelised apples, pears, blackberries, blackcurrants, all those, a little bit of warming chili or smoky flavours. But we stretch the season. So at the minute, if you look at retail, Christmas will begin in October, won't it, really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what we do is we have autumn from when autumn officially starts, when the clock, with the clocks, or when the British summertime finishes.
What's that, the end of October, isn't it? Yeah.
So we pull all of that full autumn flavour into the collection, and then we don't start Christmas till right at the end of November, so that everybody gets these full seasons, plus then the festivities within them. Because for us, our Christmas collection is December, but then we've got the winter season for us is January, February, March, and then spring for Easter, April, May, and so on.
Easter must be fun in here.
Crumbs,
how many bunnies do you have hopping around?
Goodness. I'd like to say it's fun. It's a love-hate relationship, because with Easter, you have to make eggs and bunnies, and you can't be too abstract with it.
Or deconstructive.
Yeah, you can't. But it's more that the labour to make them is so long. We have to start making, just to fulfil Easter week, that Easter busy 2 weeks of Easter, we start making Easter products between Christmas and New Year, on top of the Valentine's products.
Of course.
And then Mother's Day. So it's a very busy season of making.
It's good, isn't it, the year, really? There's lots of opportunity, really, to celebrate and gift chocolate.
It is, and Father's Day in June, so that
Yes.
pulls another one in. Then we have a gap. Like right now, we're sat in August. It's a quiet gap for chocolate, every chocolate business. But what we're doing behind the scenes is getting Christmas ready.
Gosh.
Can you believe?
Well, look, I mean, something to look forward to. We've
It
got to
really,
put a
well,
positive
look how
spin.
bright Christmas is. I mean, for me, I love Christmas 'cause it's bright and colourful, and the chocolates this year are going to be super bright and
Well, I
colourful.
can't wait to come down here for Christmas because, I mean, at Camden Patio reminds me, I bet this looks lovely. Well, I
It does.
remember it does. It's gorgeous.
The lights
So-
go up. It's very atmospheric. And,
Yes.
and Christmas. It's that Dickensian Christmassy feel.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just so chuffed to be here and having this great chat. So,
Me too.
you know.
Well, I've got one more chocolate.
Oh,
Just
yeah?
one. Before we finish, this has been on the collection. This is an old timer
Right.
for 16 years. It's not
Oh, classic.
So it's called calamansi or calamondin. It's a Malaysian citrus. This is vegan. So it's vegan white chocolate made with oats and the dark chocolate on the outside. And it's the most citrusy flavour and fragrant flavour I think you'll ever have. It's unusual, but we managed to get hold of it 16 years ago, and it's been on the collection ever since.
So this is vegan.
It's vegan.
Wow.
So now you can get white chocolate made with oat milk, powdered oats. So the white chocolate inside looks and tastes like normal white chocolate, but it's vegan.
And of course, actually, the dark
Has no milk.
has no milk, so that's vegan anyway.
None of our dark chocolate, for everyone's none of it has milk. So if you come in and say, do you have any vegan chocolate? We can say we have vegan dark chocolate, which all dark chocolate doesn't have milk and shouldn't, but we also have chocolates that are made with either no milk or cream or dairy whatsoever, or made with a vegan alternative like the oat milk. And you
gosh.
can't, there's no difference.
No. I just love that zingy texture with the dark chocolate and, just yummy.
And the flavour will last a very, very, very long time.
Yeah, I know. And I sort of almost feel quite full after eating that.
Well,
so really
full.
satiated.
Yeah, because they're intoxicating, they're full flavoured, and the flavour of dark chocolate stays on your palate for up to 20 to 25 minutes, and there's 800 flavour compounds now identified in fine quality dark chocolate. So you're all tasting something different, we're all tasting something different, your tongue is your tongue, and you will experience it the way you experience it.
It's amazing. Oh, Paul, look, thank you for this.
I've loved it.
Gosh, but we've got to say
Oh!
soon, there's your book coming
I know,
out.
as I say, brand new book called The Joy of Chocolate. Now, we've been very joyous. It's my love letter to chocolate. This is not a how to make chocolates chef's book. This is a book for everyone who likes chocolate, no matter whether it is a quality street, a confectionery bar, something fine quality. There's artisan chocolate in there, there's bean to bar, there's cocoa pods, and there's lots of colour, lots of joy, and lots of stories and nostalgia from my past that brought me here today. It's a jolly, jolly, jolly happy book.
Sounds
and
perfect
it's out
for
on
Christmas.
the 15th of September,
Oh, great.
and perfect for Christmas.
Gosh, well, I can't wait to get a copy, and that'll be very exciting. And gosh, maybe we'll have to speak again before Christmas.
Definitely
and
will.
Think,
With our
stocking
dogs.
fillers with
We'll
our
go
dogs.
somewhere
I
with
know,
our dogs.
because you're not, you're sort of east, aren't you?
I'm Walthamstow, yeah.
Right. Yes. So not far from me, because I'm E5.
Yeah, we travel around. Billy gets around.
Who gets around?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gets around, and his little legs. Wee.
Oh my, we were counting how many, this is really boring, but we were counting how many steps Billy takes to one of ours the other day. It's a lot with 4 legs and they're tiny. He's basically running all the time.
Yeah, you must. There's a Giacometti portrait, and you must have seen it. And it's a Daxi, but his legs, but they're wheels. His legs have gone into wheels because it's all that sort of what was that era? I can't remember. Futurism.
Yeah.
And they were whizzing around. Everything was again deconstruction, futurism. So yeah, the Daxi's a classic dog, and I think Andy Warhol had mini Daxis.
Really?
Yes.
I never knew. Oh, all these artistic people.
Yeah, Andy Warhol.
There's something about them, isn't it, with artistic people? I
Yes,
wonder what it is.
there really is.
Character.
There you go, you see, so
Character.
you've got the right breed.
Hooray!
Hooray! Thank you, Paul.
Thank you so much. I've loved it.
that's our show, Mr. Binks. What did you think? I know you want to try this chocolate stuff, but it's never going to happen. What's that? Oh, you're right. It is time for Woof of the Week. Please remember that chocolate really is not appropriate for your doggy to eat. It contains theobromine, which can hurt your dog's kidneys. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please rate and review the show wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks, of course, again to Paul for joining us today, and all the links to his chocolate shop is in our show notes. Thanks, of course, to Mike Hansen, my producer. Find out more about him at Pod People UK. And I'm just at Anna Webb Dogs. What's that, Mr. Binks? Yes, you're right. We will be back in your feed next Sunday. So why don't you subscribe now? It's free. And that way you'll never miss another show. Bye for now.